it's been possible to recreate Earth on a one-to-one scale. Now, naturally, Flight Simulator 2020 is far from the first flight sim to feature the entire world. In fact, this has actually become a staple of many flight sims, and to an extent, it's now expected. But where Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 truly shines is in its unrivaled and unprecedented level of detail. It's no secret within the flight sim genre that most titles feature entire swaths of empty, flat and largely featureless landscape. When generating hills, valleys, rises and falls, it requires data points that together create a terrain mesh, a virtual representation of an area's landscape and topology. And of course, if we're going to look at this on a planetary scale, it would require levels of storage and processing power that is generally unavailable. And if we're being totally honest here, not only unavailable, but also pretty much unreasonable. This then is why many flight sims, out of the box at least, and in their unmodified vanilla form, instead opt to recreate in detail only the most visited areas, in addition to perhaps some of the more spectacular locations such as mountain ranges. For the most part, other less visited or less dramatic terrain is rendered as a flat plane. It's a compromise, and one which for the most part has become the norm. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 has moved past this convention by using cloud computing technology combined with their Bing Map data services and intelligent algorithms to create an unprecedented detailed terrain mesh for the entire planet. What's more, this terrain mesh has been populated by previously unseen levels of details, with all manners of biome and environment closely matching their real-world counterparts. It's easy then to see why this has instantly captured the minds of not just simmers, but also gamers everywhere. It might be something that we've all experienced, but weather is certainly something that both games and simulators alike often struggle to perfect, and understandably so. Simulating complex weather patterns, after all, is no easy task, but it's a challenge that Asobo Studios have risen to, and the Flight Simulator development team have gone to great lengths to make the weather be the best it can possibly be. And what's more, weather is about so much more than just rain or sun. It's also about lighting. In fact, I think it could be more than reasonably argued that lighting has gone a huge way to making Flight Simulator look so realistic. This amazing lighting technique has been achieved by developing a scattering system that calculates light as it moves through a variety of layers of particles, which include, among other things, clouds, fog and pollution. Rain is simulated in 3D, meaning that you can actually move through the rain, and further, the motion of each drop of rainwater is calculated as it moves around the plane's windshield, providing for a very realistic effect. Now, rain isn't the only thing rendered in 3D, both fog and even rainbows are fully volumetric. And perhaps most interesting though is how all the weather tech is put to use. Flight Simulator would also be able to use real-world weather data, meaning that the weather patterns in-game would match the current real-world weather patterns, and if it's raining somewhere in the real life, then it would also be raining in the same location in-game. Real-world weather data then includes things such as 60 layers of real-time cloud data, storms, rain, pressure, humidity, temperature, wind direction, and more. This also means that when navigating around the world, pilots will need to take things like the jet stream into account. It's also worth pointing out that the position of the sun, stars and moon are also seasonally located, meaning they will be in the correct location for each moment of the year. Cities. What wonderfully varied locations. Now, flight sims have attempted to recreate cities for as long as flight sims have existed. In the early days, this meant a splodge of disparate colours sprinkled on the ground. Eventually, it led to a few geometric cubes and other shapes scattered around to represent a centre of population. Even many modern flight sim titles struggle to make cities look great, with any truly decent looking cities reserved purely for downloadable content. Microsoft Flight Simulator appears to have overcome this issue with some incredible results. The cities and towns here are also so realistic that they are instantly recognisable. In fact, Microsoft have gone so far as to say that everyone on Earth will be able to find and locate their own house. It's an amazing prospect. Naturally, the recreation of cities, like with landscape, is thanks to Microsoft's huge volumes of satellite and aerial data. Put to good use in conjunction with Microsoft's Azure Cloud Tech and Asobo's enigmatic software algorithms, each city and town has been created at an unprecedented level of detail. Now, I've seen some concerns expressed that while we've seen plenty of cities from relatively high altitudes, it's possible, maybe, that on closer inspection the cities might not hold up so well. Fortunately then, Microsoft has put out plenty of footage and screenshots showing buildings from a low-level flight, and they look equally impressive. Flying to all the cities around the world then, and looking for famous landmarks, not to mention flying over your hometown, is likely to be a high priority on many people's lists of activities. What's a flight sim without planes? And perhaps more to the point, what's flying planes without aerodynamics? When development began on Flight Simulator 2020, Asobo Studios completely rewrote the aerodynamics engine from scratch. Each plane has been broken into 1,000 simulated surfaces, and this can include the wings, wheels, fuselage, and many other areas of the plane as well. Each surface will be affected by different air pressures, wind speed, turbulence and airflow. In short, it means that flying these planes will feel very realistic, and a massive variety of factors will influence how the plane handles from moment to moment as the circumstances around the plane and the surfaces change. The aforementioned weather systems also feeds into the aerodynamics model, and it means that the volumetric clouds will come with turbulence and up as well as downdrafts. Further, planes will be affected by storms, supercells and other weather. Planes then should certainly fly very accurately. As for the planes themselves, well, it turns out they've been implemented accurately, with the assistance from both the manufacturers as well as real-world test pilots. Huge amounts of effort has gone into ensuring the planes themselves match their real-world counterparts, and this even extends to the interiors, with the cockpits being correctly represented not only visually, but also with accurate audioscapes and even fully recreated sound stages. All locations are of importance when it comes to flight sims, but undoubtedly one of the most important are airports. With over 44,000 airports, Microsoft Flight Simulator will feature literally all of them in the world. Over 32,000 of these have been manually edited to ensure improved accuracy and detail, whilst 80 of the most iconic have been handcrafted to fully match the real-world airports they represent. Airports are also full of life, with workers, vehicles and ATC being fully represented. It also seems no detail is too small when it comes to airports, as it will be possible to even see people moving around, busying themselves with their work. Airports then can be found in just about any type of environment and location, whether that's coastal, city, desert, remote island, or indeed just about anywhere and everywhere else. In many ways, airports will be the thing that ties the world together as pilots travel from location to location. The cloud tech in Flight Simulator looks like it's going to be spectacular. Clouds are generated from 32 layers with varying degrees of fuzziness, density and shape. What's more, each cloud is fully volumetric, meaning that they can be viewed from any angle. And Asobo Studios are adamant that there's absolutely no billboarding going on here, with things like clouds being represented by sprites. Clouds also form in a natural manner based upon updraft, wind and other elements, meaning that they behave the same as real clouds. The complexity of the cloud simulation means that all cloud types can be simulated, and with a view distance of 600 kilometers, it means they will extend all the way to the horizon. Clouds also self-shadow, as well as cast shadows upon each other. What's more, terrain such as mountains can cast shadows upon clouds, whilst at the same time clouds will cast shadows across the ground. Any small gaps or break in the cloud cover will allow light to pass through and therefore affect the shape and manner of the shadows. Further, pilots will be able to change cloud cover on the